you know what that means. It's a blessed, wonderful Monday, Martin Luther King Day, and we are live, and it's a fucking tundra down here. So that's why you know we can't be made for kids, because I just said that in the first 10 seconds. So see you, monetization. But just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for being tuned into the battle last night. That was definitely a showdown extravaganza, where Future unfortunately had to take that L in the winner take all to Travis Scott. But that was a blast. That was a lot of fun, as always, and we're excited to see where we go with it next weekend. But this is Pull Up and Chat episode 70, and the simulation's going bonkers once again. Another week with a bunch of crazy stuff going on. The Jewish community was discovered in underground Manhattan. I don't think anybody quite saw that one coming. Gypsy Rose is running amok on the internet. How about we start with her? Because I know you can.
Gypsy.
You can. If a Gypsy Rose blooms in a dark room, would you trust it? But can you? I had to get that joke off. But can you lead our ship here on the Gypsy Rose topic? Because I'm kind of still in the dark about some of the stuff.
So, if you live under a rock and you have no idea who Gypsy Rose Blanchard is and her mom Dee Dee, so in 2015, Dee Dee helped Nick. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm just gonna say Nick G.
Okay.
Kill her mom. Dee Dee Blanchard had something called Munchausen's by proxy, which is a disease, or not a disease, but a condition to where your caregiver or mother or whoever, you are to somebody, you inflict or lie about medical conditions to get either sympathy, scams, whatever, what have you, any sort of pleasure from medical abuse of your, child, whoever you're taking care of. So for Gypsy's whole life, her mom made her think that she had leukemia and made the whole world believe that she had leukemia and muscle dystrophy and, asthma and just a whole slew. I mean, the documents are there's probably like 15 or 16.
And that's fake. Like
that's
she
all
wasn't.
Dee Dee had one actual condition, or I'm sorry, not Dee Dee. Gypsy had one actual condition which made her eyes. That's why she has like a wandering eye, or like an eye that like kind of comes in a little bit more. And she had surgery to fix that, and her mom took that and ran with it. She was telling people that Gypsy wouldn't make it to see 7, 8. She also lied to Gypsy about her age. Gypsy was born in 1991, and her mom said that she was born in 95. So that she and Dee Dee's got Habitat for Humanity houses built for her. They went to Make-A-Wish trips from all different organizations, and everything, and just money after money after scam after scam. She made Gypsy sit in a wheelchair. That was the only thing that Gypsy knew was fake, was that she was able to walk. And the only reason why that came up was because she fell, got hurt, whatever, playing, and hurt her leg, and her mom ran with that. So it's really all like, and you know what? So
what was the mom's goal in all this?
Literally to get sympathy and money from people.
Oh,
100%.
Wow. Special place in hell.
Oh, yeah. So, and then, I've been seeing a lot since Gypsy's been, released on parole, that now that her confessions, her jail confessions have come out, and I've watched all of them, people are kind of doing a 180 on her, saying that she, she's a master manipulator and this and that because she's learned from her mom, which I do agree. But if you actually watch the confessions, you would see that Gypsy does admit that. She says, I am a fantastic liar and I can manipulate, but I'm getting help. I'm trying to not be that person anymore. That's why I want to do this, to get my truth out. I don't want to lie anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. And she's going out and doing media, and people are bashing her for doing media runs. Okay, this was a worldwide story in 2015, 2016. You're telling me that she should just be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sure her PR team is down her throat. Do this, do this, do this, do this. And honestly, she knows nothing else but. Like, she's never had a life. She doesn't know what life is like. And there's that. And one other topic I wanted to touch on during this is why are we not blaming the medical professionals who were on Dee Dee and Gypsy's cases?
That didn't really go, hey, wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with this broad.
No, they did. They did not report it. They were like, there's been in multiple medical reports from multiple doctors that Dee Dee had Munchausen's by proxy. They're suspecting Munchausen's by proxy, Munchausen by proxy, and almost every single one. But you're telling me that those doctors didn't want to call other offices and get medical records when Dee Dee was not providing them. I think that every single one of those doctors need to be held responsible.
Oh, so like when she'd be coming in for appointments, they'd be like, "Oh, this one again."
Not even that. She would go to different doctors. So once a doctor caught on to her lying and not giving over medical records, they would refuse to see her. She would just go to a different doctor's office and do the same thing, saying that she lost her medical records in Katrina because they did lose their house in Katrina in 2005 or whatever.
Somehow Katrina got involved in this situation.
Well, they lived in Louisiana. So,
the Big Easy.
The Big Easy. But anyway, so I do, and that's my take on it. But, free my girl Gypsy. Well, she's already free. And then, free her from the media.
But in conclusion of that whole thing, I believe the story was that she and her boyfriend, like, because she was like made aware of it. At what point was like Gypsy like, wait a minute, my mom's going nuts?
Oh, so what had happened?
That was my question too. Is like, at what point was Gypsy like, wait a minute, there is nothing wrong? So
Dee Dee was, there was across the street neighbor, or maybe like a neighbor on the street that she ended up becoming really good friends with, and the friend was telling her about these websites, and Dee Dee and Gypsy, I think. Well, she knew that she could walk, so I think it kind of started with that. And Gypsy ended up finding a medical document stating that she was actually born in 91, not 95, like her mom was previously telling her. And everything started kind of clicking from there. So, like, it trickled down from where she was born to kind of like, so Dee Dee said that she was allergic to sugar. She wasn't allowed to have sugar. She died. Her friend, gave her a soda and was like, drink this, and if anything happened, you have your EpiPen on you. She drank the soda, was perfectly fine. So
this is delicious.
Yeah. And, ended up being perfectly fine. So it really just kind of trickled down from there and there and there. But a crazy thing is that, so everybody's like, well, she could have got help. She should have asked for help. She was on the computer.
Oh, she asked for help. She got help.
She was on because what she would do is sneak and she'd buy computers and phones and stuff and go on these Christian mingle sites and like kind of get a little bit freaky, because she also was a teenage girl into her early 20s with hormones. That she wasn't sick, so she still had those feelings to, let me talk to boys and do this and kind of get my sexuality and whatever. So she would go off and do that. And that's how she stumbled on Nick G. Well, okay, her and Nick G started. Well,
Nick G too. He is a G.
Nick G is proven to be on the spectrum. I think he's don't quote me. I think they said level 2 autism. I'm not sure really what that means or anything, so I don't know. But
I didn't even know there was levels to that. Yeah, he mentioned, Doomer mentioned that Eminem actually accused his mom of that and cleaning out my closet. And I haven't heard that record in a minute.
And so then she started talking to Nick G and things started,
10 toes Nick.
I guess, so from her, this is her word. She said that, Nick G said, I will protect you from anyone. She said, anyone? He said, yes. She goes, even my mom? He said, yes. It all started forming from there on I'm going to kill my mom. Can you kill my mom for me? And she's admitted that. She said, I asked Nick to kill my mom for me. I couldn't do it. I needed somebody else.
And he said, give me my stick, honey. Say less.
But Nick G also had DID, I think, but he had a personality disorder. I'm not sure if it was DID or not, but
how did he kill her? What was the method?
Stabbing.
Stab. You got to stab her.
That's what they came down to. They were either thinking a gun, smothering, and like a stabbing, or something, and maybe one other one I can't really remember. But
and he was watching Halloween, and he's like,
and they ended up going with the stabbing, and Victor, I guess, did it. That was his alter ego that she would refer to as the person who could kill, because he and Nick G said, I can't kill anybody. Victor can, though. So Victor is alter ego killer, whatever, what have you. But you know what? Honestly, I'm for Gypsy and people who are, doing 180s on Gypsy. And
I want a documentary on that guy.
And she was doing 180 on Gypsy and, turning on her and all this. It's like, you don't know unless you were there what she went through. I mean, and there's a bunch more. I mean, go watch her prison confessions. I think the act really does do a really good job in certain scenes of portraying like kind of what happened. And they do say it is dramatized. So it's not
she
exactly
got what
happened.
I'm trying to do math here. She got about what? Sorry for interrupting, about like 6-7 years.
She got 8.5 years.
She got 8.5.
So she got 10 years. They were both supposed to get life in prison. Gypsy,
which he did get.
He did get because he did commit first-degree murder. But Gypsy ended up taking a plea deal of doing 10 years with the possibility of parole at like 8 or something like that. But she ended up having to serve 8.5 years of her 10-year sentence. And I think that's well worth. She said, and even Gypsy said herself, I needed to go to jail. She goes, if I got off scot-free, who knows where the hell I'd be right now. She goes, I needed to go to jail and work on and get help and really reflect on what just happened and everything like that. So it's like, she's not saying that she shouldn't go to jail and she should be scot-free. She's just saying that she's not a murderer. And I do agree with that. She didn't murder anybody. She wanted to, yeah, but she said she couldn't kill her. You don't know the situation unless you're there. And
she let Victor take care of that one.
She did. Maybe she shouldn't have, maybe, told somebody to kill her. Maybe there was another way. But unless you were there and or have ever been a victim of abuse, medical abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, whatever the case is, you don't know what that is. Like, you don't know what situation that is and what it's going to push to a person. During that, one more last thing I'll end on is during that documentary, and this should tell you how severe this Munchausen's by proxy was, is that this was the first and only case so far that the victim of Munchausen's by proxy actually killed the caregiver. So that was the lead in her defense, is that that should be enough in itself to understand how severe that abuse was. And that's that. Get your shit, Gypsy.
Yeah, thank God you steered the ship on that one, because there was a lot in there, obviously, that I didn't know. I was excited to hear kind of all about it and get the whole picture. Only thing in there that I would really say is a takeaway before I throw some comedy on it is I don't know if I agree with Victor or Ten Toes Nick or whatever we want to call him getting life for that.
No, okay, I will touch on that too. I don't agree that Nick G should have got life. Absolutely not. I think that he should have been in a mental facility that will help him now, because he said that he would kill again if it did come up again and it was to save Gypsy, he would do it again. 100%. He said that. So I do believe he needs to be institutionalized, but in a setting to where he can actually get help, because he's not getting help in jail right now. You already know that.
No. Victor's going crazy on the
Nick
block.
G.
I like Victor better. I'll call him Victor.
But I do believe that he needs help, and he should be institutionalized in a better facility that will help more people like him, because he's not the only person on this earth and won't be the fucking last. So that's what I'll say on that. No, Nick G does not deserve any of that. My
only joke that I couldn't help but to say, and I think personally it might be funny, but shoot or shoot. Let's shoot the joke. When I asked you, I wondered, when was one of her, first thoughts of, wait a minute, I am fine. I couldn't help myself, and my mind went straight to that scene in Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby is, he thinks in his head that he can't walk, so he has to be in the wheelchair, and he's like, damn you don't understand my condition. And they're like, Ricky, your legs are fine. And he grabs that knife and just goes, Ricky, don't do it. I just imagine somebody being like, yo, Gypsy, my girl, just stand up. I promise you don't need that chair. Just stand up.
Yeah, if anybody knew, nobody knew it was nobody knew.
Well, that's all you said with the one neighbor. I thought that'd be funny if some woman just leaned out a window. Girl, if you don't get out that goddamn wheelchair with your walking ass, come on now. Get up off the fucking chair.
Yeah, that'd be funny if people actually knew that it was a joke, or not a joke, but a scam.
Yeah, but in conclusion, though, I guess on that one is, wow, and then I know she splashed on the social media, seeing her followers instantly went through the roof.
Well, yeah, that's why people are so mad, is because they're thinking that she's doing this as a publicity stunt. Not a stunt, but just for the publicity and everything. But it's again,
that one Instagram post was a little where she talked about her back getting blown out or whatever.
Okay, well that that's her though. That's the thing. It's if you watched any of her stuff, that's her. She's just a very sexual person like that. That's just who she is. And again, she's never experimented with her body as a fucking teenage girl. You know how important that is?
She was 4 years older
than what she thought she was. So it's I don't fucking blame her, girl. Get your shit off. Like, damn, if your fucking dude's blowing your back out every night, more fucking power to ya. Like, damn. She's been in jail for the last 8.5 years. I hope she's getting her back blown out every night.
Oh, shit. Gypsy Rose. If a Gypsy Rose bloomed in a dark room, would you trust it? That's up for you guys to decide. But with that being said, we can, is there anything else you wanted to mention on it?
Nope.
Well, another crack in the simulation this week that happened actually a little bit earlier. Well, I shouldn't say this week, but earlier last week. I got to dance a fine line with this one. But it seems as if there was a group of the Jewish community that decided to hang out in some underground tunnels, in which these tunnels ended up being discovered. There was bloody mattresses. There was like little strollers and cribs, and seemed like there had to be a kid or something down there at some point.
Or they're just using that stuff for something. I don't know.
I've seen 1,000 different conspiracies on the actual thing. I mean, literally 1,000 different conspiracies.
Oh yeah, you can speculate all day long.
But at the end of the day, just face value. What the fuck? I mean, what the fuck? That's
crazy.
We got guys climbing out of tunnels, underground fucking synagogues and shit. Like,
I don't know. They say organized religion's a cult, and
that definitely don't.
It doesn't do that. That situation doesn't do us any favors for the people who do practice religion. That are not in a cult and are actually normal people.
Thank God Mel Gibson never was aware of that. He would have found those. I'm surprised he didn't find it.
That's all I'll touch on that because I'm not getting canceled. But
yeah, I mean, I don't want to. Let me protect this and kind of cover it up real quick. I mean, obviously, there's no anti-Semitism in here at all whatsoever.
Do you, boo? Do you?
But no, that was definitely a plot twist in the simulation. Like when I said, then like. And then obviously the cops were, having to deal with this angry mob of people that, is just like, what the hell? I couldn't stop thinking about the CCR song, though, Run Through the Jungle. Better run through them tunnels. But, no, for all we know, they were just trying to hide from Kanye. But at the end of the day, though, that was just some really wild shit that I couldn't help but to mention, just because it's like, I guess we'll have to see kind of how it unfolds. But at the same time, the media is kind of steering away from it as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of became
wants to get canceled.
It became like a forbidden thing. But you guys know me; I'm not really all that scared. I ain't afraid of no ghost. So we'll just dive right in. But with that being said, though, let's get to some new music reviews. Finally got some new music out. It seems like we've been in a drought. Besides Pink Friday for about the last month, which is typical around the holiday time. But the new year is officially going. We got new music, big album drops, a lot of new singles. What do you want me to start first on?
We're going to start off with Scotty McCreery's new single because that shit slaps.
Okay. So Scotty McCreery did, so we'll do singles.
We never touch on country in this freaking thing ever, so.
Okay, so you can get your shit off. Yeah, so Scotty McCreery came out with my instant favorite song of his, too. Can't Pass the Bar. Sounds like some good country rock.
Totally different from what Scotty is normally, doing. He usually does like, he gets a lot of his inspo from like Johnny Cash and stuff. So I feel like he kind of gauges his music. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I feel like he gauges his music a little bit towards that. He gets a lot of inspiration from that, and but I think this song's great. Like it has a little bit of, what would you say, rock to it?
Country rock for sure. Some good old boys that came past the bar.
Yeah, I think for sure. Like it's just really great. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's a great single. Wyclef Jean dropped a new record called Paper Right, featuring Pusha T, Lola Brooke, Capella Gray, and what's the name? Flu J. Flu Game. Michael Jordan Flu Game. I don't know. But he's also featured on Paper Right. Like that record, added that to the library. Young Gravy and Lil Key dropped a new record called Mozzarella. Thought that was a bot. Jason Martin, I actually got to go back and I believe he dropped the whole project. Let me check it out. Yeah, he did. However, though, I have only so far heard I Can't Believe, but I definitely like that record a lot. Lyrical Lemonade dropped another single. Excuse me, for their upcoming for his Cole Bennett's upcoming album, featuring Gus Dapperton, Lil Yachty, and Joey Badass, called Fallout. Love that record. We got a new Nicki single. Speaking of her, the Gag City Pluto edition, press play featuring Future. Thought that was a bop. And I believe, let me go check out the other singles, make sure I didn't forget anything. We got Ariana Grande dropped Yes and.
Ooh.
Yes and I ain't never going to listen to it. The Black Keys dropped Beautiful People, in parentheses, Stay High. Jennifer Lopez dropped a new single, Can't Get Enough. Lil Nas X, we're not going to dive too much into this one, but he dropped a new record called J Christ, where in the music video he's,
Oh, is that thing you showed me?
Yeah. And today he was, complaining about the backlash from that, but it's a gimmick rapper that does gimmick things and then gets mad when it gets bad publicity, so I don't really get that. But I didn't check it out. I probably won't run to go check out the Lil Nas. I'll probably give it maybe I'll give it a listen though. Benny the Butcher dropped Braun. You already know I highly recommend that. You already know that. Benny the Butcher always gets the highly recommendation stamp. Believe that might be it. Oh, Hardy, I saw drop the new one since you said I never mentioned country.
Hardy, what was it?
Called Quit.
Oh, I gotta listen. I haven't heard that.
Kevin Gates dropped Birds Calling.
What do they want?
I don't know. Probably want to know where they can fly because the weather's going fucking mad right now. Speaking of, that's why my nose is running like Usain Bolt. Yeah, that's always part of his rollout though. I feel like is those gimmicky kind of videos.
He does that with that devil song, right? When everybody had all that.
Yeah,
okay.
Where he was the devil and he was twerking.
Yeah, okay.
Well, now he's Jesus and he's twerking. But
there
is some Lil Nas records that I do enjoy a lot, so I'll give that one a listen. But now I believe that leads us to albums. Well, two big albums that came out this year to kind of kick us off. The two big drops are Kid Cudi dropped Insano and 21 Savage dropped The American Dream. I want to start with the 21 Savage because me and Doom actually had a listening session on the phone Friday night checking that album out. And I got to say, not only do I highly recommend that everybody checks out the 21 Savage album, but I think that that's his best album. I'm already ready to put that stamp on it. There was at one point, and Doomer can check me on this
only
too.
2 weeks into the new year.
That
his out of his catalog. Oh,
yeah, his best album. Yeah, out of his catalog, his best album. Definitely set the bar high too on dropping for the rest of the year. I think for everybody because it was a great album. And as I was saying, there was at one point about halfway through the album, I said it to Doom on the phone. I went. He goes, "What?" I said, I'm not hearing a rapper anymore. I'm hearing an artist. I'm not hearing just a rapper. I'm hearing an artist. The way he put that album together and the way that, he rolled out with the videos and how he's actually addressing different things on the album while still doing the 21. Hey, let's turn the club up. Let's get the hard beat going. And I think that time that he spent with Drake, who we'll touch on in a little bit too, but I think after doing that, he was like, oh, okay, here's how we do big productions. And then, I think he started thinking, oh, imagine how this one's going to go on stage. Everybody in the crowd yelling G Block. All we yell is Red Rum. And you can get the crowd where he could be like G Block. All we know is crowd, Red Rum. Where it's like, oh, wow. I really think he stepped his game up. He stepped his pen up, too. Shout out to 21 Savage. Absolutely phenomenal album. Kid Cudi dropped Insano, which I know he had a lot of singles gearing up for that one. A lot of different records on there too. I enjoyed it a lot. I actually think, give a similar kind of take on how I did with 21. I would actually say that Insano would be Cudi's best album since Indica. So that goes back to 2013, 2014. This kind of had that I feel like Cudi, hate to put this on his jacket, but it seemed like for a while he was just kind of like, okay, let me just, we're great. We know what everybody loves. Let me flip that autopilot switch on and, branch out and do the movies and, do the Intergalactic, do the show. And then this kind of felt like he went into the studio and went, been a while since I turned this switch off. Okay, let me get back in here and actually really try to put some records together, gather some great features that fit well. And I really believe he did just that. Couple standouts on there, and I'll mention a couple standouts on the 21 too at the same time. Standouts for me on Kid Cudi, which I do highly recommend checking that out as well. I would say probably be Wow with A$AP Rocky, Electro Wave Baby, Tale of a Night, and Funky Wizard Smoke. And then for 21 Savage, Red Rum, I'd say Sneaky to check out. And I would also say to check out featuring Brent Faiyaz, my guy, Should Have Wore a Bonnet. And I think that's a great record, and I think that's a very unique pairing between them two as well. As far as other albums, though, that came out, I know I mentioned the Jason Martin I do want to check out. The Book of Clarence soundtrack came out with a lot of big features on that. I didn't even know Cudi was featured on it, but then you got D'Angelo and Jay-Z, and that was definitely a very different record than I think anybody could have expected. Kaylee Euclid, right? Yeah, I believe is how you pronounce her name. Dropped Orchidea. I don't know, but oh wow, I can't read any of these song titles except for Young, Rich, and In Love. But I saw that she dropped. I hadn't checked that out yet at all. I'll have plenty of time this week though before the new music drops to check it all out. We got the Tizo Touchdown dropped a Apple Music edition of How Do You Sleep at Night with a couple bonus records on there that I love a lot as well. Up and Down, Out of Respect, and Third Coast, all gems. Highly recommend checking out that. Tizo, he's another one of my guys. K-Camp, that's a name we haven't heard in a min. Dropped Float to London. Oh, and it translates out to Orchid. Yeah, I'm sorry, Kaylee. God damn it, I can't. I suck with names sometimes. I don't even know why I try. K-Camp dropped Float to London. You remember K-Camp? It ain't gonna cut that bitch off.
Yeah.
Good old K-Camp back out there. Record 10, I can't help but to not say this one. It says Shrooms on My Ass.
Wow.
That's an interesting one. What else do we got here? The Vaccines dropped an album. That's an interesting title. Asking Alexandria had an EP that came out.
Okay.
Dark Void. And I do believe I'm hitting railroad tracks here now. Hold on. Yeah. Winnie the Pooh Playdate soundtrack. Yeah, we went too far. But yeah, so a lot of great new music came out to kick off the year. Love seeing it. Glad to have Cudi back. Glad to have 21 back. Glad to see what the hell we're going to be getting for the rest of this year. I mean, I know that's two great albums to start us off. A lot of great singles as well. So I highly recommend checking out the 21. Highly recommend checking out the Cudi. And, of course, the new Benny the Butcher record as well. But with that being said, I know I mentioned when I talked about the 21 album about his time with Drake. And I said, don't worry, we're going to get to him in a little bit. So I feel like this is a very interesting one that I wanted to kind of bring up to kind of go against that narrative of me and you always agreeing with each other, because I feel like we're going to butt heads on this a little bit. So for those that don't know, Mos Def got an interview, first time in a while, and they were asking him in the interview, like, hey, who's some of the younger artists, and what do you think of some of the younger artists, and, the new generation of stars, what do you think of them? And Drake's name came up. And his whole mood changed. Pretty much said in the interview, I got to give him a salute, because he was like, uh-oh, what'd I do? Like, you could even hear it in his voice. He's like, is there like a beef like I should be aware of? Like, oh, shit. But it was really just Mos Def on Drake's ass for like the next 10 minutes of the interview. The original question was, what do you think of these hip-hop artists, these rappers? And he goes, I thought you wanted to talk about hip-hop. Guy's like, well, yeah, like that's what I'm doing. And he's like, yeah, but Drake don't make hip hop. He don't make rap music. He makes pop music. He goes, and he goes into this thing where he goes, well, how many times have you heard a J. Cole or a Kendrick record when you're shopping, just out of a store radio. You don't. Do you hear Drake? Yes, you do. You hear, you
God's
do.
plan, for sure.
Yeah. And then it was like, it pretty much got to the point where he said, he makes music that you shop to. He makes pop music. He doesn't put him in that category with a J. Cole or a Kendrick Lamar. Right off the rip, I'm going to let you go first while I gather my words for my take. But where do you lie on this?
I do agree for the most part. I do agree that I personally, in my opinion, that's why it's my opinion, I think that Drake does gear towards a lot of that pop-ish type music. I wouldn't say 100% pop, absolutely not. That's not, no. But I do think that it is geared towards a lot of pop because that's what's gonna be a hit. That's what's gonna sell records. Is that poppy stuff.
And he does that deliberately.
And he does good. And he does that so... That's not a horrible thing, though. Like, why is everybody, like, thinking that that's a horrible thing? Like, maybe he's not up there with the, J. Cole's and the Kendrick Lamars and, fucking everybody else that's up there. But it doesn't mean that he's some fucking nobody. I mean, it's still Drake. Like, god dang. Like, but I also don't think that he's very creative. No, not in that aspect. No.
So that last part threw me a little bit. You said you don't feel like he's creative
as in to be able to be like a strict rapper, like how like Kendrick is like a lyricist and like things like that. I don't think Drake's cut out for that. No.
Now that's where we're gonna butt heads a little bit on it. I love this. I think there's actually at times where like I know right when that take first happened, even I did, kind of devil's advocate myself, but I did go and look up. I'm like, what was really his biggest records? And it's like, oh shit. Like, it's not really his, like, when he gets in there and actually raps his ass off. It's the shit like Toosie Slide where, you're TikTok dancing and your God's playing where you're yelling, and you're getting the crowd to sing along to it. And, it's kind of got that melodic, kind of wave to it. Yeah, good brother Doomer said Drake can bar out when he wants to, but a lot of his music is a lot more popish nowadays. He has a lot more demos he has to appeal to when he drops albums. That's a bullseye.
That's a good, I do agree with that.
Because at the end of the day, I look at it like this. When Drake did just drop that Scary Hours 3 or whatever edition where it was like all straight rap records, that's the lowest he's charted in years.
And I'm not saying that Drake can't rap.
So it was like he went for it. And it was almost like, of course, there's that demo like me that eats that shit up. But I guarantee you his whole entire women fan base went, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, oh, yeah. I don't want to hear him rap like that. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah. And, just like Doom said, you have to appeal to the demographic. I understand that. But I'm not saying, like, Drake can't rap. No, I'll never say that because that's a false statement. I just don't think that he can sustain himself as a true, like, as just strictly rap. No.
So you think if they told him kind of like how J. Cole and Kendrick do it, get in there and give me 15 straight songs, just hip-hop. Don't do that singing shit.
No, I don't think he could do it. Personally, I don't think he could do it.
And I don't think it would even be smart for him to do it, though.
No, because he does his type of music fucking gold. I mean,
and I feel like if J. Cole all of a sudden tried to make like a Toosie Slide, people would be like, Cole, that's his thing.
That's his thing. That's a good point. Like, it could go either way. Like, Kendrick can't match Drake and Drake can't match they're just two different
There's certain things that each of those three, the big three as they call them, there's strengths and weaknesses in each of them.
I mean that's with everything. I think like everybody does like their own little portion of it. But to think like maybe I should take back my statement of I don't think that he's I don't even know like what you want to call it. It's like one of those sub-genres that's like it's hip hoppy pop rap, like it's right up in there.
I think Mos Def is wrong on this thing. Drake was the first one that I can truly think of that said, what if I know Kanye, I know there's people that debate, I know Kanye 808s and Heartbreaks, I'm not taking anything away from that. But Drake was the first one that was like, look, not only am I great at singing, but I'm great at rapping. And I am going to do both of them. Nobody's going to stop me from doing that. I'm going to be the first one to be the megastar that can rap and sing at both extremely high levels. And I think that was so unheard of in the Mos Def time when he was on that Mos Def run, that to him, it's like he can't even fathom it. You know what I mean? Like he can't even, like Kendrick and J. Cole, you throw those two back in the 90s, they fit right in.
Mm-hmm.
You throw Drake back in the 90s and people be like, wait a minute, what do you want to do? Do you want to sing? Do you want to rap? And Drake would be like, I want to do both. And somebody would have been like, either you're going to be R. Kelly or Biggie Smalls. Pick one.
That's why I said he fits really good in that like subcategory, just like the country rock. It's like, that's like that tiny little subcategory of like country music and rock. It's like right in between. I think he fits really good in between the hip hop and the pop. Like I think he fits really well in there because, like you said, I mean, he does
and R&B, and he does R&B.
Yeah. I think he does. I mean, he has a wide variety. I'm like, I don't want to ever discredit Drake because he is a top tier. I get it, but I don't think that. I mean, I also like why like. I don't know, like, why are we just, like, why does he only have to be in one category? Like, why can't he dabble in a little bit of everything? Which is what he, a couple different genres. Like,
I would say, though, and this is to Mos Def and anybody who, really took his take and was like, yeah, he's right. Here's what I'll say to them. If you don't think Drake is a lyricist, I want you to go put on 8 p.m. in Charlotte that just came out. And I want you to listen to it from start to finish. And if at the end of that you tell me that Drake can't rap, I'm going to go send you to get your ears checked. Because that's just blasphemous to me. It's blasphemous to me. After he's clearly showed many, many times that he can rap just as good as anybody else. And, through the timestamp records and his outro records, he showed time and time again that he could rap. And I think the other thing, too, with the comparison, like just in the middle of the big three, is like, okay, yeah, Kendrick can rap his ass off. When he drops once a year, like, okay, like at least we're getting more.
A little bit more.
Maybe at least we still get more output from Drake. And then Cole, he's been on his feature runs, he's been killing it. He's going on tour with Drake, and like I had the thought last night, Kendrick Lamar created that new label PG Lang with Baby Keem. And since that label's creation, they have only put out one single song. One single song. The Hillbillies. That's it. So I think Drake just gets overly hated because his name's always out there. He's always putting out new music. People want to tell you how much they think it's trash, how much they love it, how much they love it at first, and then they think it's trash. But, yeah, another great lyrical Drake record, Doomer, Diplomatic Immunity. But with that being said, though, I did just want to tackle on that one real quick because I thought Mos Def was wild for that. And I love me Yoslin Bey, but I don't know what. He kind of seemed like he was in a bad mood. But the next thing, though, that I wanted to mention about a little bit in the music realm is Ari Lennox from Dreamville had an interview, or actually, I don't even think it was an interview. I think it was more like an IG Live kind of a thing. And yeah, it was IG Live. And one of her fans asked her, what was your experience like on the Rod Wave tour? Because she was the opener for Rod Wave. And Ari Lennox pretty much said, like, I handled it professionally. I finished out the tour. I didn't back out. But I fucking hated it. I absolutely hated it. I thought his fans were were kind of just, his fans, the Rod Wave fans, were not wanting anything to do with her because they're in that like Rod Wave like stand-em. Like, I came here to see him. I don't care who you put on that stage. I will boo them and throw shit at them. And I didn't know this, but when I looked into it, at one point she was getting so much shit thrown at her on the stage that they had her come out, and this is fucked up, in a helmet and like pads and shit because people were really starting to throw like heavy ass phones and shit like at her. And the one, when she decided to wear the helmet, she got smacked right in the head. She had to like go to the back, and she had to come out, and she tried finishing the show and finished it. And then Rod Wave comes out there, and then now his fans are going crazy. breaking the gate, trying to run up on stage. Rod Wave's, putting on his big extravagant show. And essentially, yeah, she was assaulted by a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids.
I will never understand.
All drugged up. And she actually ended up finishing out that tour, though.
You know what?
And
that's more power to her, because that is a professional woman right there, because any other person would, no, absolutely not. Am I coming out in pads and a helmet like I'm about to go freaking do a half pipe? No. Yeah. Not for some fucking ungrateful ass fans. Absolutely not.
And what's crazy is I actually think Ari Lennox, I know there was a lot of people thinking like, what the fuck is she on tour with Rod Wave for? I listened to both of their music. I actually think that was a great pairing. If that crowd would have just gave her a shot, I think that's a perfect opener for Rod Wave. You get a little bit of toxic kind of female music. You get that kind of same tempo, same vibe. Similar somewhat styles.
It's the same thing. It's just like you said, they only wanted to see Rod.
Yeah, and like in the one video, because like I said, I went to go look at some on YouTube. They didn't give her a fucking chance. She didn't even say a word on the microphone. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ari Lennox. Like, thank you for having me. Before she could even get a word out, she'd come walking out there. We want Rod. We want Rod. We want Rod. Rod Wave. Rod Wave. And it's like, let her get her shit. Like, we'll get to him, all right? He's coming out. He's here. You're here. He'll come out.
Rod should have freaking did that thing that one artist did. I can't remember who you said who came out. Hey, if you're not going to respect this, then we're... My
boy came out there when the internet was getting shit thrown at him, and he goes, if I see one more thing thrown up on this stage, he goes, I'm going to cancel the whole fucking show right now. Everybody's chill the fuck out.
See, more headliners need to be like that. Back up your openers. Why are you not backing up your openers who are, who you asked to go on tour with you most of the time? And if you didn't, then maybe you should fight for no openers then, if you really don't want
The Ari Lennox move seems like a label move, but again, I still think it was a good pairing.
Oh, but either way, I mean, somebody needs to come out and start defending these people, because it's just getting completely out of control. I mean, it really is. I mean, to come out there in literal pads and a helmet, that is just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because that phone, I mean, it got thrown and it literally went like, dink.
I mean, what are we going to do? First of all, security at these shows, what are we doing? What's going on? Have we not learned anything from Travis Scott's whole fiasco? It's the same damn thing almost. Like, I think it would be in the same category. Why are you throwing things at performers? Like, God, I hate that.
And at the end of the day, this actually makes it even more sick to me. At the end of the day, something tells me that all that shit that was thrown at her didn't come from just women.
No, I'm sure it didn't.
Like, that phone that I saw that hit her face, that looked like that dude threw that shit from the 20th row like a cannon.
People need to start being charged with, like, I don't even know what you would be charged with, but something.
You make a great point. If I was walking downtown Willoughby and just walked in a bar, took my phone, I went, "Hey, buddy," bam.
Was that assault?
Threw it right at him. Yeah, and it hits him, and oh man.
That's assault.
You think I could just walk over there, give me my phone, bitch, and walk away?
That's crazy.
No. They'd be like, "Whoa. You just threw that at him. You just tried to harm him physically with that object. That's assault."
Yeah.
When meanwhile at the show, when Rod Wave came out, he just probably looked over at his buddy. "Hey, make sure to get me some videos for when I do get my new phone tomorrow so you can send them to me." You know what I mean? Like, and he got to enjoy the show, enjoy the whole set, and nobody did a fucking thing.
That's crazy. Mm-mm.
Like you said,
start kicking people out or something.
Like, okay, a drink, a soda, still don't. Still terrible, still shitty as fuck. But okay, I can wipe the soda off. But when you're throwing thick-ass OtterBox phones, I mean, I'm surprised she took the bump. The way she took that and where it hit her on the head, I'm surprised she didn't just pass right out and, fall over. But yeah, like you said, when she has to come out there and trot out there with pads and a helmet.
With armor on. Like, what does she need to come out in a steel fucking suit?
And you can tell the helmet threw her voice off.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, first of all, you're trying to, perform and, you have costumes and, outfits. And I'm sure I'm sure, just like anybody else, you're kind of picturing the way you kind of want things to go. And I'm sure a fucking helmet and pads is not what she was envisioning in her head when she was like, what's my outfit going to be like tomorrow night?
Like you said, she was probably super excited, and now she's like, well, I don't want to get hit in the fucking
And now
head
it's
again.
like, okay, so she's on a come up, right? Like, or is, like, I don't really know anything about it. But anyway, so either way, she's not a headliner yet.
Elevate her career.
She's trying to elevate her career, whatever. Maybe she eventually wants to go on a headlining. But I feel like now it's like, well, why would I do that if they don't want to hear me now? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what would be going through, I don't know, I have anxiety, but that's what would be going through my head is like, oh, fuck, well, they don't want to hear me, so why would I want to go headline a tour now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, when that time does come or whatever. Like, that's how I would think as an artist.
If
I'm hard on myself.
I'll be honest, because I am a fan of Rod Wave, but I lost some respect for Rod Wave. Because, like you said, it made me think to how Mac, handled it. Like, and because, and like when Mac ended up talking about an interview, he's like, I get it. It's flattering. It flatters me that you guys, just want to see me. He goes, but he's like, I'm trying to put you on. Like, you love me, right? I'm trying to put you guys onto the stuff that I listen to, that I like. But even that, say Rod Wave didn't even, necessarily ever hear an Ari song. And that just happened to be, his opener signed by the label. I still believe that it would have looked much better if he would have walked out there and been like, guys, I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys are riled up. I know it. But just relax. If you just watch the set, I'll be out here, all right? You don't have to scream my name. I'll be right back there. I'm not going anywhere. Everybody just calm down.
And that's the thing. It's like, just fucking deal with it for a half an hour, or guess what? Get there right when fucking Rod Wade's gonna go out then. Like, right when your artist is about to go out, then get there. Oh, well, you don't want to be in the back of the fucking thing? Well, then go and be respectful at the front of the line then. Like,
and I'm just gonna call this spade a spade too, kind of like his, just his demo, so to speak. You don't want to see Ari a bunch of addicts, then go outside and roll up again, and then come back in and get your mind right.
There you go.
Bunch of fiends, go out there and pop and sniff and snort whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But just chill the fuck out and don't go throwing shit at Ari.
That's the thing. Aren't you all on drugs? Fucking chill out, man.
Yeah, bad drugs.
Why are you on trip? Like,
I thought you guys are supposed to be a bunch of lean drinkers. What the hell? You seemed very active that night. False, fake addicts.
I'm telling you, Lil Wayne's done lean for how long, and he never once have I seen that man get aggressive.
Exactly.
So y'all doing it wrong.
What are you guys doing? Popping Adderall and snorting coke? Chill down. Fuck. But with that being said, though, I did just want to pivot off and branch off into another realm, the wrestling realm. We're going to go into the wrestling realm. You can nix that one. That's fine. But go off into the wrestling realm. Tony Khan exploded on Twitter last week. Shattered the Twitter sphere, the X sphere, I should say. For those that don't know, Tony Khan, CEO of AEW, was very notorious for letting his emotions kind of just fly and go off the rails on Twitter, or X, however you want to call it, potato. But what happened is last week on Raw, so flash forward a week ago on Raw, it was now announced that Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins will actually have a World Heavyweight title match set for tonight. But a week before that, AEW announced that Hook, Taz's son, was now going to challenge for Samoa Joe's AEW World title. Fans at the time said that's fucking stupid. That's crazy. Hook has never even really defeated anybody real like that. Then now what? He's just going to jump up and face Samoa Joe and face the champion? He doesn't deserve that shot. That's terrible booking, Tony. You're an idiot. Then WWE, who Jinder Mahal hasn't won a match in over a year, gets a world title match against Seth Rollins. And Tony, because the USA Network threw a shot at him, because they were like, well, wait a minute, what was Collision's rating again? And Tony Khan, that you could tell that he saw red when he saw that tweet. He said, He quoted it and pretty much said something along the lines of like, how are you going to say that I'm a bad booker and that decision and make fun of my decision? But now all of a sudden you're just so happy to see Seth and Jinder next week. Just find it funny how, I take all the hate. I take all the arrows. And when they do the same shit as me, nobody calls it out. Well, I'm calling it out. And in that process, though, he then went on a rant. And I kind of agreed with him for a minute. And then I saw the next tweet, and that's when I went, oh, God, what have you done? So I'm not the biggest fan of Jinder Mahal myself. But when he called him out, he's like, he hasn't won in over a year. You just forgot about the psychology of man. Because now what you just did is you just put over Jinder. Because now the Twitter's doing hashtag can't hinder Jinder. Can't hinder Jinder. Jinder's back. The modern day Maharaja's back. Jinder Mahal, you know what? Maybe you should put the world title on him. You know what? Yeah, Seth has held it for a while. We kind of are wanting to see Jinder win tonight. So now you just put him over. But now here's where it gets crazier. Then people were like, because Jinder Mahal quoted the tweet and said, who the fuck is Hook? So now Tony put over Jinder and buried Hook. Buried his own guy and put over the WWE guy because he was mad at tweets. And then it gets worse. Eric Bischoff responded just kind of lightly, and he was like, Tony, get off Twitter. And Tony explodes on Eric and called him a meaningless, worthless old bastard or something like that. And to which Eric Bischoff recalled something from the one time he made an AEW appearance back in 2019 when the company first started, that they called him Hall of Famer genius Eric Bischoff. And he said, meaningless blah, blah, blah bastard. He goes, well, what about this? Which one is it? And Tony blocked him. And it was like, oh, no. So people were screenshotting it, tweeting it at Tony. He can't block people fast enough. So it turned into this like Tony Khan versus Eric Bischoff. And Eric Bischoff, like even later that night, was like, well, Tony, I guess the next time, and he showed like his call log. He goes, the next time you give me a call to see if I want to return, he goes, next time, he said, I guess you might as well just delete my number too. Which means like I'm never going to help you out with anything again. Like, fuck you. And then you had obviously other superstars come out and they're like, Tony, what are you doing? One of those superstars, Jeff Hardy. What did that do? Got Jeff Hardy buried because people were like, hold on, Jeff, who are you to talk? You drunk? Pretty much like, oh shit, you fiend, you addict. And it's like, oh hell. So Tony kind of, he took a lot of L's. And I do think there's a chance tonight that Jinder Mahal might win because of how well he put him over. But what do you think on Tony real quick?
You know what? No hate to AEW. I do enjoy, watching some things. But I think that Tony needs to get the hell out of his head. And he needs to stop trying to compare himself so much to WWE and stop trying to bash WWE so much to try to get your own promotion over and just focus on your own promotion, buddy, because this is doing you no favors. But no hate to AEW.
Yeah, I mean, always rooting for AEW, but I do think it's officially that time where somebody's got to go, hey, Tony.
Put it down.
Put that phone down. Don't look at what Twitter's telling you. Don't look at the people bashing your ratings. Just try your best to put on better shows and leave that noise aside. Because it's just rough to see. But like you said, we wish the best for AEW. So, I know we touched on a little bit of sports entertainment. But how about we touch on just some actual sports? So, first off, I did just want to say to confirm it. I know everybody was waiting so much on this. This is the one that everybody wanted to hear. But finally, El Tucker has won a fantasy football championship. And God almighty, it feels good. God almighty, it feels good. I got absolutely annihilated in all the other ones. But I won. The Tiger King won the fantasy football championship, making me $100 richer. So that was that. Well, because I had a bunch of Panthers players, Lions players. I had some, you get where I'm going with that.
No, I know.
Very Lion, very Tiger themed. But yeah, I did win my fantasy football championship, and God almighty, it felt good. A little bit of an NFL playoffs update, though, speaking of championships. What the hell happened this weekend? A lot of people know that I am from Cleveland, Ohio, so as a city right now, we are in mourning of our beloved Cleveland Browns, who came up about 40 points short against the Houston Texans Saturday afternoon. I'm going to be honest, that was a sad one, y'all. This is the year that we thought, okay, Flacco, there's a lot of speculation in the air. At one point, we're the most favored team to win the Super Bowl. We finished the season strong with Flacco. We've overcome all this adversity. And we're blown out. Blown out. Looked like we didn't even belong. Looked like...
I saw a crazy hot take on Facebook, actually. Somebody was, just so upset that the Browns won that they were, they're just they're like, we should have got home field advantage and this is bullshit and all this stuff. And it was just really funny because really Browns fans will honestly try to find any excuse underneath the sun on why we played bad. But it was just a fucking shit game. It really was. I think we just got too in our heads about being in the playoffs, and it really ate us.
What we do every time,
and that's it. But you know what? Like my dad says every year, we'll get them next year.
I saw this one. Yeah, we'll get. Every Cleveland Browns fan knows what that one is. We'll get them next year. That saying comes out every year. Next year's our year. Get your tattoos laser removed, covered up, whatever you got to do. Get them next year. I actually had a buddy that got that tattoo, so he's got to get that covered up now. Knowing his dumbass, though, he'll probably just keep it.
I would just keep it.
Keep the tat and wait till they actually win, and then just have him X out the 1 year.
Like literally just an X and then put the right year on it. That'd be funny.
At that point, that might be an idea that I'll tell him. But no, absolutely crazy at just how all the games unfolded. I mean, Packers-Cowboys yesterday. Cowboys got one of the best defenses in the league. Packers waltzed right in, and Jordan Love got a perfect passer rating on him. Micah Parsons, where are you? Put his face on a milk carton. They were saying that there was a third-string left guard that had to guard him all game yesterday. People were saying, oh, my God, the Cowboys are about to get 15 sacks. Micah Parsons is going to eat him alive. He's going to kill him. Guess how many sacks he got? That's how many.
0.
That's how many. 0. That guard held him like a fucking statue at that line. And, so people, obviously got to jump on the meme train and just dog the shit out of the Cowboys. People love it when the Cowboys lose. I really don't know why. I don't know where that all started from. People love watching the Dallas Cowboys lose. I'm not quite sure how the game's going now, but I know that the Buffalo Bills are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know that was 21-7 at half. Mason Rudolph looked like he was Olive the other reindeer out there trying to throw the ball. So hopefully he can get that together in the second half because I got parlay, I got legs, and I need him to hit a couple of them for me. We had a Lions game, which was the best game of the weekend. That was on last night against the Los Angeles Rams, and the Lions got it done. Lions got it done. 24-23, and it was cool because you could even see Dan Henderson. We had it in the background of Sleepless Radio. As soon as the time was clicking off the clock, he looked up at the scoreboard, and you actually see him mouse the words. He goes, "No shit, no shit."
I have to comment on your liners because that was a funny little thing.
The liners.
I had to refrain myself from laughing.
You could have did it like Tommy Boy. Was that a liner in there? Was that a liner in there? Not your liner. You wouldn't be kitty baby liners? No. Pickleball paddle liners? No. But couldn't resist. But yeah, a lot of the games this week, though, really did go crazy, setting up for a great divisional round. Looks like we'll have the Packers versus the Niners. They're coming out next week. It looks like there'll be the Ravens versus, well, it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers if they come back and win the game, but that just looks like that's not the case. So I believe that would make it then Baltimore versus the Texans. I believe is how that one would go then. But it is exciting, though, to see on how the playoffs are shaping up and getting us 1 week closer to the NFL championship, which means a lot of these games start intensifying even more. I saw a bunch of crazy Bills fans and Steelers fans had to shovel their way to their seats.
Yeah, that was nuts.
So that I know was pretty crazy. That's why the game got postponed to today because originally it was going to be, I believe, yesterday.
Yeah, but the Arctic storm or something like whatever they called it.
Yeah, and I mean, it would have been, you couldn't do it over the weekend.
Well, they had the travel ban. You couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, which means that, obviously hindered people. But it didn't stop the Bills Mafia from breaking tables and jumping off of snowdrifts. So it looks like they're still having a great time. People still taking their shirts off. But something else I just wanted to say then to close out. Speaking of NFL, Aaron Rodgers back in the news again today. Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show. Somehow, someway on the Pat McAfee show, the Epstein list came up. And when the Epstein list came up, out of all the names on God's green earth that you could possibly think of, that Aaron Rodgers said that he would imagine that guys like this would be on the list, with Jimmy Kimmel.
I would literally never guess that a day in my life that I would think that guys like Jimmy Kimmel would be on the Epstein list.
And Jimmy Kimmel kind of, initially kind of responded.
I would also take offense to that. I really
Yeah.
would. I would take offense to that. If somebody was like, hey, a person like you kind of reminds me of somebody who'd be on a fucking list of rapers.
When it's like he's got a wife, family, and I think Jimmy Kimmel couldn't have handled it any better. He could have went the route of, I'm going to sue you, because you could.
Yeah, you could.
And he even kind of teased that, but he said, I'm not going that route. Mm. And I love how he said that, for the first time in over 20 years, he said, I was thinking about it. And he said, obviously, I got to address this in tonight's monologue. Like, now I got people tweeting me. People are already threatening my family. People are, sending me death threats and, shit now. And believing in Aaron Rodgers bullshit, which I would always take with 6 grains of salt. But, so essentially, he started off the opening monologue. No, definitely not a joke. Because Jimmy Kimmel ended up saying that when he, was chilling, getting ready for the show, that he actually went into the writer's room. And he said, this is the first night in, years. He goes, let me handle the monologue. I want the monologue. And the way he kind of kicked it off was he said, look, he goes, I can't respond to Aaron Rodgers the way I want to as your nightly host, Jimmy Kimmel, that, does the family-friendly talk show. Mm-hmm. He goes, so I'm going to use tonight's time. He goes, do something I haven't done in a long time. He goes, I got to be the hungry stand-up comic that's just coming up in the scene, and I'm going to slaughter your ass verbally and make you look stupid, make you look like an idiot, and debunk everything that you said about me. And I think he handled it just right. I mean, I think he handled it bullseye, chef's kiss, straight out of the park. But how do you feel about just how the whole thing went down? Because then in conclusion, Aaron Rodgers the next day on the Pat McAfee show goes, I wasn't really trying to say you. I was just saying guys like you. Which I think was a stupid way to word it. But
then again, that kind of
By the way, in all result, though, it ended up to where it got to the point where ESPN has now said no Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show. And then Pat McAfee just got fined and in a lot of trouble. And temporarily, I believe, there's something temporarily now where he no longer has control of who can be on the show. Because he had Aaron Rodgers back the day after that they told him that you can't have him on the show. And you could even tell in the intro, I'll be honest, Pat was a little...
Damn, Pat is just...
Well, because he wanted the ratings. And
No, I get it, but isn't this the second time he's been some sort of suspended from something? Didn't he have his show suspended for something, right? A couple months ago?
Yeah, and because what Pat likes to do is he likes to press that line.
I mean, that's,
Like, oh, hey, Aaron Rodgers, if we put a camera on him, he's going to say some wild shit.
But it's hard to be mad at somebody for that because they're also trying to get their ratings and their...
And, you could see, though, when he goes, so, Aaron, how do you feel now about me not able to have you on the show? And it's like he said it, and the way he said it in his face said, it even kind of almost looked like a signal of, I know you want to say some wild shit. So do it. Go off the rails, Aaron. Go for it. Say whatever you want. Because guess what? At the end of the day, this is my show, and I'm getting the ratings of people that want to hear what your dumb ass is saying. So give me it all. Give me the Jimmy Kimmel. Give me the drugs or, the surgeries are fake or whatever crazy takes he has.
My take on the Jimmy Kimmel, Aaron Rodgers thing is just...
I'm glad Kimmel cooked him. I'm glad he threw him in the skillet.
Joke or not, I think that right now the list is just... it hits people, I think, in a weird place to where they feel some type of way, I think, and so
feel some type of way
to I can't find the word, but to say that, people like Jimmy Kimmel, even if you didn't say, I think Jimmy Kimmel's going to be on this list, but to say that people are like Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, to go back to that, I think I would take offense to that. I do agree with what, Kimmel did do and to address it and kind of,
did he
come from a comedic point? Because I didn't watch the clip, so I don't really know, but
Kimmel?
yeah.
He started off being like, look, you put my family in danger. Like now, like we're getting threats sent to my house. People have figured out where I live.
But after that,
did he go into
a comic?
That's where he went into stand-up comedy. He roasted him. It was a roast. It was essentially like a roast.
I do agree with that. You're not coming, you're not also being malicious towards him because, what you have to sustain a level of professionalism. But, I do agree with Kimmel's take on, I'm going to address this on my show because I can and I want to, and this is not right.
Like the one that he ended on, he said something like, because you remember he had that injury. He was like, if only your legs could run as fast as your mouth.
See,
and
that's
it was
funny.
Like, oh, shit.
And his torn off the bone Achilles heel.
Yeah. And I think he absolutely schooled him. He's like, you're one bad year away from becoming a high school coach for your kid or something. It's like, oh, God. Like, he goes, I can almost see him now. He goes,
I love a good roast.
There's Coach Rodgers.
Funny.
But
I do love a good roast.
Yeah, no, Jimmy, I think, threw him in the skillet and flipped him a couple times and then flipped him right into the trash after that.
Hey, you know what? It's a free country, so do what you
And I'll be honest, I never really cared for Aaron Rodgers.
I don't give a damn about money.
I never really cared for Aaron Rodgers one way or another, really.
No, I don't wish ill on anybody, but I don't give a damn about him.
I imagine if I was out somewhere, like if we were at Disney and stuff, like, oh my God, there's Aaron Rodgers.
I absolutely would.
I would just be like, okay, and QB.
I wouldn't I mean, we've probably seen multiple football players or
probably
sports people.
I mean, I would recognize him, but like I said, I would just be like, hey, honey, like, it's Aaron Rodgers. There he is, right over there. But I wouldn't be like, oh my God, it's Aaron Rodgers. I gotta get a picture. Like that just, I mean, I wouldn't do that. No, if I see Stone Cold, that's when it's, yeah, but can I just sneak a pic real quick? But yeah, no, I think that was awesome how Jimmy handled that whole situation, though. But with that being said, before we close up and get out of here, we got the Emmys starting soon tonight. Excited to see who's going to win. That's, obviously the most prestigious for, TV and, that style of awards. So I'm looking really forward to that tonight to see who gets some of those W's. I know I saw Ted Lasso's nominated, which we just recently started watching, but we'll save our review until the end of season 3. We're currently on season 2. And believe you got more playoff football next week. Merch available now for a limited time. Price drops as well. We got Night AMV out now on YouTube right there. We got Night out now, all DSPs, Pornhub, Apple Music, Spotify, Shopify, Deezer, Weezer, Paranoia, I don't even know, Pandora.
TikTok.
TikTok. It's everywhere. If you can find music, it's there. Google, Tidal. I don't know. There's too many of them. But we're on all of them. When Vampires Go Surfing coming soon. I know that's I've delayed it a couple times. No more delays. I got y'all. We're coming. We're cooking. Got the new mic. Things are sounding crispier now. And before we close out of here, I did realize something about halfway through the episode, and I know it misses it if I don't do it. And I know Reddit would kick my ass if I posted it without doing it. So with that being said, thank you for joining us. This was Pull Up a Chair episode 70. Thank you for joining us last night for Sleepless Radio episode 175. And in case you were wondering and you just stumbled upon this great podcast and said, I just wonder what their names are. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to my beautiful wife, Wifey with all caps. Thank you for joining us and getting your shit out today. I know that was a lot of fun for you to talk about your girl, Gypsy Rose, and dive in on that. So thank you for joining us. And if you don't know this ugly mug, it is the creme de la creme, the one that they do, in fact, call him Mr. El Tucker Tente, the ultimate motherfucking sensei, the one who, of course, taught Bruce Lee everything he motherfucking knows, a.k.a. Space Mountain Stoney, a.k.a. Stoney Montana, a.k.a. Young Dumbledore, the lyrical wizard, a.k.a. Bed Burgundy, why? Because they sleep on your boy, a.k.a. Mr. Call Me What You Will, just never call me broke or sad. It's Mr. Keep the Love High. And the motherfucking hate low, baby, you pickleball paddle polish. And just wanted to say thank you guys for joining. And once again, thank you to the great, great Dr. Martin Luther King for all of the great work and all of the love that you were able to put into the universe. And I know there's still, sadly, I know there's still a lot of work to be done, but we would not be where we are today
the way,
without you and paving the way and getting it started.
And all other Black influencers in that
as well,
category.
yes. And MLK, we salute you. RIP, thank you again for everything. This day is meant to celebrate the great life of Mr. Martin Luther King. And with that being said, is there anything you'd like to say? Keep the love high and the hate low, and wake up with a smile on and look in that mirror and remind yourself, one, that you love yourself, and the next three, remind yourself of 3 things that you are grateful for. And I love you guys so much. Keep the love high and the hate low. Until next time, Lord willing, peace.